For DIY number one, I'm going to make this scrap wood box, and this is a legit scrap wood project. So these pieces right here, I had left over from a box that I'd done a couple of months ago, which I will leave the link down in the description box below. So these pieces were left over from that video like I'm telling you about. And what you see me doing here is just measuring the little end pieces that I need to cut off to close in the ends of my box. And I just took a little pencil and marked across right there. And then I'm going to take it outside and use my little hand sander. I mean, not hand sander, Lord have mercy. My little cutter, wood cutter. And I'm sure there's a proper term for it. That thing right there, whatever that's called. Anyway, I used one of my husband's small batteries on it. So it didn't really have the power it needed to cut through that wood. It cut through it, but it left some little jagged edges. So I took my little finger hand sander and just sanded all those little pieces down that it didn't, it was just like splintery or whatever. And I got it really, really smooth. And once I got everything sanded down and cleaned up, then I started building my little box. Now, as you know, if you watch me for any length of time, I am obsessed with wood right now. I love building things from scratch. And this was fun to literally find some scrap wood that I was probably going to throw away and go, you know what? Don't throw that away, because you can make something with that. So I'm kind of tickled at the way that this turned out. It is absolutely my favorite piece today. And I can't wait to hear what you think about not only this, but my other two pieces that I'm going to throw in with this video today. So once I get my little box built, I am going to open up some Weather Wash. Weather Wash was kind enough to send me some more stain. If you watch my channel, you know I am obsessed with their barnwood stain. Well, this time they sent me walnut, and I am equally as obsessed with the walnut stain as I am with the barnwood stain. I'm going to leave a link to their website down in my description box. They have an array of beautiful colors, and there's going to be something in there that you're going to fall in love with and want to stain something that you're building with. It is amazing. It goes on so smooth and so even. And the polyurethane, I have never, ever, ever, and I use polyurethane all the time, never found a polyurethane that did not turn white when it dried if you got too much in one spot. This does not turn white. Maybe I haven't gotten enough in a spot yet. I don't know. But I haven't had any problems with my polyurethane drying white or cloudy. You know what I mean? Like it dries so smooth. So right here, I'm just going to take one of those little microfiber cloths and cut like a fourth of it away. And this, as you can see, different cuts of wood take on the stain differently. But what you can do if you have a piece that doesn't accept the stain as well as some of your other cuts is just give it a few seconds to dry and layer it some more, because the more you layer it, the darker it's going to get. So that's kind of what I did. I just played around with it, and then I found this gorgeous, gorgeous little ornamental piece right here on Amazon, and I will link it below. Actually, everything that I'm using today that can be linked below will always be linked in my description box. So I'm going to cover it in this gorgeous walnut stain. These are just some little feet that I got from, where did I get these from? I want to say probably Hobby Lobby. And again, everything I'm using today is wood. So all of this wood is going to get this gorgeous walnut weather wash stain. Once I get my feet stained, I am going to go in with some white Waverly chalk paint and give just the box like a real kind of heavy distressed coat, just to farmhouse it up, make it rustic, make it shabby chic, make it everything that I am. So I'm going to take the white, just like I said, I'm going to dip a brush in it, just a little chip brush, or actually that's not a chip brush, but you can use any brush that you can just kind of put I wouldn't call it heavy distress coat, but it's sort of a medium distress coat. Anyway, I don't know if you've seen what I did just then, but when I finished with my little rag, when I was pulling my glove off, I just wrapped the rag inside the glove. That's going to keep it from drying out and make it to where you can use it again. So that's just a little pro tip. So anyway, once I got the box covered with this distressed coat of white, I set it aside and let it dry. And look at that, y'all, look at that stain. I hate even covering it up, but I had a specific look in mind for this box. But as you could see before I covered it up, that walnut is absolutely gorgeous. You can see the walnut here, and you can see it in the legs. So yeah, I really burnt myself bad right there, y'all. Be careful when you're using hot glue because it says hot for a reason. I burnt myself so bad. I ended up having to take my ring off because it started to swell. So be careful when you're using hot glue. But anyway, I'm just taking my brush, the leftover paint on my brush. I'm just running it across that little ornamental piece to lighten it up and bring it out and make it just kind of stand out a little bit more. Once I got that done, I added my feet to the bottom with my wood glue. You guys know I'm obsessed with the hot glue sticks that are wood glue. And again, they will be listed in the description box. They're by Surebonder. They are amazing. But once I got my feet on, this little box was done in a matter of minutes. And I think it is gorgeous. Look at that. Is that not the most beautiful little piece of scrap trash you ever saw? I mean, I was going to throw it away. But look, now if you want to reinforce this a little bit, you can add some little finishing nails on there. I just didn't see any purpose in doing it because the wood glue holds so good. But if you're going to keep this for a long time, I would suggest finish it off with some finishing nails and just sort of like hold it all together a little bit better. But look at how it turned out. I love it. But now let's get into DIY number 2. For DIY number 2, I'm making this sign. And I got this from the Goodwill when I was there a few weeks ago, along with all this other stuff you see piled up in that buggy. And I brought it home and I cleaned it up with some baby wipes. But I only paid $3.99 for it. And the regular price was $15.99. And it had never been touched, never been used. Nothing had ever been done to it. So that is what I call a really good deal. Now I'm going to remove the little stickers and clean it up with some baby wipes and get it ready to go. After I got my stickers removed, I went in with my handy dandy trusty antique wax, which you guys know I love and I'm obsessed with. And I wiped it on, brushed it on, should I say, with the paintbrush. And now I'm just taking a baby wipe and I am wiping it right back off to bring out that gorgeous, gorgeous wood. Look at it. That's why I love the antique wax so much, because it's so beautiful and it's so easy to use. And it's perfect, honestly. I just love it. This is a stencil that I got from Chalk Couture, Mercantile Grocery. I think it's just adorable. And I'm going to use that to chalk onto the middle of my, I don't even know what you call that tray. I'm going to call it a tray. I don't know what it's called. So I take the backing off, and you have to fuzz it, because if you don't fuzz it and you put it down, as sticky as it is, it's going to stick. And then when you go to pull it up, it's going to rip and tear your stencil. So you always want to make sure you fuzz it first. Now I had a little bit of trouble when I was doing this one, because I had a lot of company and we were talking and laughing, wasn't paying attention. I got my bright white paste and I was putting it on and wasn't really paying attention, and I wasn't rubbing it hard enough to get all of the paste down in there. So what I did is ended up pulling it back up, and I washed my stencil and started over. And the reason I washed it is because I just didn't want to make a mess with it going everywhere. But it washes off so easy. You just put it in the sink and run some water over it and wipe it off, and it's perfect again. Anyway, I put a second coat on there, and that's all it needed. It just needed me to pay attention to what the heck I was doing instead of talking. However, I did miss right there on the right-hand side that little word produce. So you'll see me go back in and put it there after I dry it. You don't want to put it back down on that with it wet, because if you do, then you're really going to mess it up. I did get produce a little bit lower than it needed to be, but I was so over it at that point, I just didn't even bother. Now I'm going to take some of that antique wax and go over the spots that I had some bleeding through. And that was my fault, because the back of that stencil had water on it and I didn't realize it. And when I started putting my chalk on it, it got a little bit runny and ran down. But look how easy it is to fix. You just paint right over it with that antique wax and it covers it right up and you don't know the difference, and it's perfect again. So I just went and put me a little sawtooth hanger on the back top. I was going to put some feet on it because I wanted to make a little tray, but everybody was like, no, make it a sign, you gotta hang it. So I was like, okay, well, that's easier anyway. So I threw a sawtooth hanger on it and made it into a sign. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this DIY, and we are going to jump right into the next DIY number 3. I'm going to make this adorable little riser. Now, I know I've made a couple of risers recently, but they're all different, and it's just a way to give you ideas. But look at this truck, y'all. All I did was Googled pink roses, and this came up. So it was a free printable, and I was like, oh my gosh, what can I do? What can I do with it? And I chose this thing that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99. I got it for $1.50, and I thought I could put it on top of it. These legs right here came from Woodpecker Crafts. I am a affiliate of theirs, and that's something that they sent me. I'm going to paint all of the wood in the antique wax, and then I'm going to go back over the top of the legs, as you'll see in a few minutes, with the white. But back to the picture, I just Googled pink roses. That was one of them, and I printed it out. And you can put it in a frame. Like, in my opinion, it is beautiful. Yeah, baby. Beautiful enough to be framed. So if you have a really pretty frame that you like, stick it in a frame. Or you could put it on one of the hearts, you know, the wooden hearts that are out at the Dollar Tree right now. There are the plain wooden hearts, and then there's the wooden hearts that are like slats that have like a little bit of room in between them. Like, there's so many things that you can do with that picture, but I chose to put it on top of this riser because when it comes to Valentine's Day, I do a lot of baking and I need something to present the things on top of. It's usually cupcakes or cookies or something like that, and this riser is absolutely perfect to put something like that on top of. So back to how I'm painting it. Like I said, I'm covering everything in the antique wax, wiping it down with a baby wipe. And then for the legs, I wanted to go back in with some white Waverly chalk paint and give it just like a distressed coat of the white chalk paint, just to give it a little more rustic farmhouse feel. And I think it gives it a little more character when you use two different colors. And especially with the wood, the white distressed look, to me, just looks gorgeous when you're dealing with farmhouse stuff. So what I'm doing now is I'm placing my picture on top of my wood, and I'm sort of rubbing around it, see how it gave me like the outline. Now I'm going to cut it out, but I'm not going to cut it out right dead on it, because if I were to cut it too small at any portion, then I'm going to mess myself up. So always make sure you cut it out just a little bit too big. Then I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to cover the whole top of my little tray. And I put way too much on it in the beginning, so I took a lot of it back off and just tried to get as even coat as possible. I rubbed it down, added some heat, because the heat takes out all of the bubbles, and there's several ways that you can heat it up. But my throat is wanting to be crazy right now. My heat gun gets super duper hot, so it worked perfect. Then, as always, I take my little sponge and I go around and just sand it down, and it just, like I said before in the past, it just gives you the most beautiful, perfect edge. And once you get that done, you want to go back over the entire top with this Mod Podge, because it's going to do two things. Like I've said before, it's going to seal in your picture so that, you know, if you were to spill water on it or anything like that, nothing's going to happen. It's not going to start melting and take the color away or anything like that, because it's going to be protected. And then by going on down to the wood, it just gives everything the same finish, and it just looks more professional. It just gives it more of a store-bought look, if you will. So after I got that done, look at that. It's just gorgeous. Look, you can't tell me that's not beautiful. I love, love, love it. So now I'm going to put my little feet on, and you'll probably notice, like I did when I was doing this, I forgot to paint or stain one of the bottoms of the feet. I did go back in after, right there, that one right there. I did go back in and stain it, because even though nobody will probably ever see it but me, like, it drove me crazy. But anyway, let me know what you think about this cute little pink truck, and tell me if you think you'd like to make something like this. You could literally print off any picture you want and do this. Like if you have a favorite picture of your kids or grandkids or your spouse or significant other or whatever, you could literally do the same thing. It is so stinking easy to make a tray or whatever. And again, you can print it bigger, you can print it smaller, you can make it work for whatever project you're doing. If this is the first time you have ever been to Monner's Market, welcome. My name is Brenda, but my sweet, sweet grandbabies call me Monner. And I have a video every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always do a live chat during the premiere, because we love to catch up with each other and see what we've done for the week and talk. And we would love to have you join us in that live chat every single week and grow our little group bigger and bigger and bigger. But for now, I'm going to hush, because I have run my mouth way longer than I wanted to. Thank you for coming to my super cute high-end decor video. Come back and see me next week, same time, same place, same channel. But for now, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Be blessed. Bye now.